Hey, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Uma garu. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Uma Mantradi garu is a very experienced immigration attorney with over 35 plus years of experience, based out of Houston. Uh, so, thanks, Uma garu, for taking time to answer, give updates on the immigration area, and also to answer some of the questions which our members are having. Thanks for
Sure.
taking these monthly sessions. Yeah,
Sure.
to start
Good
with, Uma
evening
garu.
to everyone.
Madhuri, to start with, can you give us a quick update on what is happening with the F1 visas and service restoration?
Sure. As you all know, there were at least about after the revocations and terminations of the F1 visas, there were at least 100 lawsuits filed against the government. And based on the lawsuits, the government lost the cases and they were told to reinstate the termination of the C visas that were done in the US because the government here doesn't have any control on the revocation of the student visas from the US consulate. They could only direct them to reinstate the C vis terminations, and they started doing that. And again, on April 26th, I believe, or 27th, the government came out with a new policy stating that even though they had promised that they would reinstate the terminations, and they did reinstate some of the terminations, now they're again going back and terminating the reinstated terminations. So it's kind of very confusing to the people and to even lawyers like me as to why the government is not following the court's instructions and why these are happening. Because from AILA, we gathered that at least 4,700 students' visas, as C visas, were terminated. And a lot of universities are very upset with what has happened. So they reached out to the government and they made a promise that they would reinstate the CVIS termination. But now they are going back again and uh, terminating the reinstated one. Now, how long will this continue? Will the students go and appeal this in an appeals court, or will it go all the way to the Supreme Court? We don't know that yet, Kishore Garu. So this is the update that I have, that they are definitely not on the path to help out the students.
Okay, thank you, Madhuri, for that. Now, what about the H1B updates and the Dropbox changes? Like, what is happening with the, because that
Yeah,
is where most of our community members are. So most of them
right.
will be interested to know. Like, we see a lot of rumors also on social media that
Correct.
after students now, they are going to target H1Bs on either it can be DUIs or various reasons to cancel the visas. How much is truth in that?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of students who've reached out to me personally, Kishore Garu. I get at least about 15 to 20 calls every day from students whose CVIS has been terminated for different reasons. Somebody who's had a DWI, somebody who's had reckless driving, somebody who sold a liquor to a minor in a grocery store. So various reasons we are seeing, but the most of the alarming reasons were more like traffic tickets. Somebody got a traffic ticket, even though the traffic ticket was later dismissed. Still, we found that their CVIS was terminated. So some of these students, of course, challenged it in court, stating that this cannot be a reason for them for their CVIS to be terminated. And like I said, they were successful to some extent. And now that the government is going back on their own words, we don't know how stricter these policies can be changed and how stricter the enforcement is going to be in the future. Coming to Dropbox, it's a good question. a lot of H1s who have been selected now in the CAP, and their employers are going forward and filing their H1s. They'll be starting to get ready, by September to go for their stamping. Some of the cap cases, some are non-cap cases, meaning people who've already had H1s in the past will be going for stamping. So the earlier rule was that if you've been in a visa category doesn't have to be the same one, in the last 48 months, they could go for the option of the drop box. But I believe on January 18th or somewhere around that time, or a little later, I'm sorry for the date, probably February 18th, the government came up with a new rule stating that, applicants who previously held the same visa category, not a different visa category, but the same visa category, and that had expired in the last 12 months, were eligible for the drop box. So, for example, in the past, if somebody had an F1 visa in the last 48 months, they could still go for the drop box for an H1. But now they're saying, no, we can't allow you to do that. If you're coming for a stamping of an H1 and you want to use the drop box, you had to have an H1B visa in the last 12 months in order to avail the drop box. So this is the new rule that is coming up. And also they have to apply in their country of nationality. They cannot do that in a third country. And they should never have been refused a visa also. If they were refused a visa, then they are not eligible for the drop box. They have to actually go through the entire interview process. So this is the drop box. This can apply to H1s, L1s, F1s, F2s, H4s, and L2s, or any other categories that they are coming in. So this is the update on the Dropbox.
Okay. How about this H4 work authorizations? Are there, again, we see a lot of rumors that Trump may revoke those H4 EADs, those things. What is happening with that?
Sure. I don't know if you remember in the past, probably 2017 or 18, IT Serve had ferociously battled with the government, with the help of some attorneys to fight a few battles. One of them was also to deal with end client letters, and they also brought about lawsuits dealing with H4 EAD, because a lot of H4 EADs were suffering when they applied for the H4 EAD extension. It took 8 months, 10 months, 12 months. So that would bring a gap in their employment, and it affected both the employers and the employees. So they had a lawsuit against the government back in the Biden administration time. That was Idakuni versus Mayorkas, in which they had a settlement. The government had a settlement, and the settlement was that there would not be any gaps, and the H4 EADs could be eligible for an automatic extension, and they got that. But unfortunately, that settlement expired on January 18th, 2025. So, which means now the spouses of the H1Bs, who are the H4s and the H4D EAD applicants, they have to be adjudicated separately, and potentially the wait can be longer. It's not going to be, some sources tell us it can be up to 6 months, or sometimes I've seen up to 8 months. And this is creating the gap between the H4 EAD applicant and the employer, or sometimes they may even tend to lose the job because the employer doesn't want to wait that long. Sometimes I've had good luck, Kishore Garu, where we could convince the USCIS to expedite it based on the fact that my client had a potential job with a good company, with a reputable company, And if they don't get the H4 EAD in a timely manner, they're likely to lose that potential job. And so we would get letters from the employer to ensure that this is given to the USCIS, and then we request them for a expedite. And in some or most of the cases, we were lucky to get that. And I'm not saying it's going to work with every case, but there's no harm, at least, in trying to ask the government to expedite based on your real facts. I want people to give the actual letters from the employer, making sure that there is a real job that you are likely to lose. So this is the situation for the H4 EAD, and we are hearing rumors that again there could be a class action lawsuit against the government from a group of H4 EAD applicants because, given the scenario right now with the job cuts, with the economy, it's going to be very tough unless both spouses are employed. So this is what we are hearing, that there could be another lawsuit against the government, but we don't know when that's going to happen or if that's going to happen.
Yeah, thanks for that update, Magar. And what is going on with these deportations of either H-1Bs or green cards? Are you still hearing those cases, or is it little
Yes.
gone
No,
down?
we
Or
are hearing. In fact, today I'm part of the AILA, again, American Immigration Lawyers Association, and a few of my colleagues, immigration lawyers like me, had posted today that one of their clients who's Japanese by birth but became a naturalized US citizen was returning back on her trip from Japan, and she was held at the airport when she was coming in. She's a naturalized US citizen, and she doesn't have any criminal record or she has not done anything. So she called her attorney, and the attorney couldn't reach anyone. Nobody was picking up any calls. And so she posted in our AILA group saying that what is it she can do, because her client, being a US citizen, is held up at the airport and is not being released. So these are real time incidents. I won't even call them stories because they're not stories. This is happening to a lot of people, and why or what is the criteria that the government is using is extremely random. We don't see them applying a particular way so that people are more careful. They give the proper documentation. We don't see them doing that. So what is happening with green card holders? We are seeing a lot of elderly parents who are returning back, say, after 4 months or 5 months or 6 months. They are definitely being taken into secondary inspection, Kishore Garu, and some of them have been forced to even sign a form known as the I-407, where they said they are giving up their green cards, and they were given a tourist visa at the port of entry by the CBP, and they were allowed to come in for a few months. So this is something we are seeing now coming to the H1s, what can happen, and we are advising people to make sure if you're an H1B, you're traveling and you're coming back, please make sure that you have all your documents in a hard copy, don't carry it on a phone. I would print out the I-129, the LCA, your offer letter. If you've already worked here and gone back for a vacation, I would carry your paychecks, end client letters, statement of work, MSA, whatever applies to you. I would carry literally everything with you. I'm saying carry hard copies, not just keeping it on your phone, because once you give the phone to them, I don't know what they are going to find or what they can interpret from some of your information on a phone. And they have a right to inspect your phone. We cannot even deny that anymore. So I would advise everyone, not just H1Bs, if you're a student, if you're on an L1, H4, L2, TN visa, E3 visa, especially non-immigrants, please make sure that you carry all your documents with you so that you don't have to worry about, not providing information. I would carry more rather than less. Sometimes, Kishore Garu, if an H1 is getting what to say a direct deposit into their account and they don't have paychecks, then I advise them to carry their bank statements from at least the last 6 to 8 months to show that there is a consistent deposit from the employer and they're actually getting paid for their H1B because they don't have a paycheck. So, this way you prove that you were maintaining your status. So, this is something I just wanted to advise whether you're a green card holder, make sure you carry your green card, your license, any ties to the country, your lease, if you bought a house, if you can carry a copy of your house warranty deed, any utility bills. I know this is very, very cumbersome and it's very painstaking for all of you to be doing this, but unfortunately, we are living in a chaotic and turmoil situation. So don't take a chance. It's okay. It's better to carry them rather than not carry them.
Yeah. So all this is only for international travel, right? Some members are asking, even if we travel within US, do we need to carry any of these documents?
I would carry, if say, for example, it's a student who's going from Houston to Disneyland, just for example, I would carry my I-20. I would carry my passport, of course, to show that I have a student visa. If you have a CPT card or an OPT or a STEM OPT, I would carry all those. I would definitely not take a chance because we've been told, Kishore Garu, at some of the airports, they have eyes in plain clothes, just randomly checking people. And if they don't have the right documents, then they can take them into custody.
Yeah, okay, thanks for that. And so if they have their driving license, is that sufficient, especially for H1Bs, or do they need to have their I-797 within US?
I would still carry the driver's license. And one advice to people is to make sure that your license is updated to a real ID license, because that would also carry a lot of information about you. If you're on an H1 or you're a green card holder, you're a citizen, or you are a H4 EAD, because they are inputting all this information into the system. So once you update it to a real ID, that also has a lot of information. However, not taking things for granted, I would advise everyone to carry all their documents, even if it is a domestic travel.
Yeah, okay. Umagar, how about this alien registration, right? Is that mandatory for all the H1Bs or their families, or is it only for specific?
No. The alien registration requirement went into effect on April 11th, 2025, but all those non-immigrants who have already been fingerprinted, for example, it could be a B1, B2, F1, F2, H1, L1, L2, H4, all of these categories, they do not have to register because they've already been fingerprinted, their biometrics were taken, so they don't have to do it. Particularly, it is requiring children who turn 14 and above. The moment they turn 14, they're asking them to go ahead and register and get them fingerprinted so that their prints are also in the system. Once you turn 14, even for a green card holder, that child has to, apply for a new green card. And at that time, they would be fingerprinted. So definitely, we don't need any of the non-immigrants or immigrants or citizens to do the registration under the Alien Registration Act. Kishore Garu, it's targeted more towards people who've come in illegally into the United States.
Right. But how about like if H1 traveled with his kids when they were below 14? After coming here, they turned 14. So
Then
now
they
they have to.
Yes. Now, once let's say a child was 6 years old when they came, and the parents are on H1 and the child is on H4. Now they are turning 14 or turned 14, then they have to do the registration for sure.
Yeah, okay. Are there any other major updates, Magaru, before I go to Q&A? Any other things you want to cover? Or
One of the major things that we are noticing, and people are still not following it, is we've been telling over and over again, especially me, I do a lot of podcasts, Kishore Garu, and I tell people that when you're traveling and coming back into the United States, at any port of entry, the CBP has the right to inspect all your electronic gadgets, be it a cell phone, be it an iPad, be it an iWatch, be it an Android phone, your laptop. They can actually inspect anything and everything. And the only thing they cannot get into is your work emails. They cannot get into that because there is confidential information. So at the airport, if somebody, has something that is worrisome to them and they feel like, no, I don't want to give my phone, they have a right to take your phone. So you cannot resist that. Now, we are telling people, if you don't want to carry your actual phone, carry a burner phone. If that's something that you think would be more useful for you, you don't carry your phone, which has all your information, which you don't want to share with the US Customs Border Patrol, then I would carry a burner phone. And that's something, they have a right to. We don't have a right to deny that now anymore. They're clearly saying that they have a right to inspect any of your electronics. And let's say, for example, even if you've deleted any of your social media or your, WhatsApp information, I believe they can actually go to your hard drive of the phone and retrieve all this information. So, and I'm not saying everybody is hiding something or doing something wrong or doing something untoward. Sometimes we may do things unintentionally, which may cause a problem, which you don't know how it could cause a problem. So, if you want to be very careful, the best thing is carry a burner phone.
so, any tips on what not to post on social media or many things which everybody should be aware of?
Very good question, Kishore Garu. These days, particularly, I would tell everyone, do not get into any kind of political rallies, especially if you are a non-immigrant or if you're even a green card holder. I wouldn't get into any kind of political rallies. Often we see a lot of political groups posting information on Facebook or Instagram or any social media. And out of excitement, sometimes people feel my friend has posted this, and if I don't like or share, he or she may get upset. So, just to keep my friendship and I don't want to upset my friend, let me go ahead and, hit a like or put a heart or, clap or do something like that. Don't do any of that. Just if you, even if you want to continue to be on a social media, do so, but don't comment in one way or the other. I'm not saying one is good or one is bad. Don't comment at all. Don't get involved at all because we don't know where this administration is heading towards and how strict can they be. And let's say when you're becoming a citizen 5 years from now or 10 years from now, if they make this part of the rule making process, and if they say anybody who on a social media liked a political group or went against the president, sitting president, be it this president or an ex-president, and if anybody did that, you're not eligible for citizenship, then you're getting into that trouble zone. So my advice is we don't know how far this is going to go. So best is to stay away from all of this and don't get excited and don't jump into anything, on social media because all this information is accessible to them. And I don't know for how long. Would it be 5 years? Would it be 10 years? I don't know the answer to that. Will they use it afterwards? I don't know that also. But given the scenario today, I wouldn't get involved in any of those.
Yeah. So now let's go to some of the Q&A by our member.
Sure.
Uh, If we use AP that was issued with EB2, then will we be able to downgrade to EB3 in future? We have
Say that again.
I114. We
Would
have
you repeat the question?
I114
Uh-huh.
in EB2 and EB3.
Uh-huh.
If we use AP that was issued with EB2, can we downgrade it to EB3 in future?
You can downgrade it, but then they'll say you avail the benefits of the EBT. So, will they process the green card in the future will be a questionable thing because they'll bring up that you have availed the benefits when you filed it under EB2. So my advice would be, even if you get an AP or even if you get a work permit under a certain category, be it EB2 or EB3, and if you think, you'll upgrade your EB3 to an EB2 or downgrade it from EB2 to EB3, do not avail the benefits that you get. If you don't, then you should be fine. Now, under this current administration, will there be any levels of tolerance? I doubt very much, Kishore Garu. I doubt.
So what all documents has to be taken by GC holder if they are traveling international?
One is, of course, their advance parole. And if they are still on an H or an L or an H4 or an L2, I would carry those documents too, because they can, if the stamping is valid in their passport, they can still use either the H1 stamping or H4 stamping or L1 stamping or the L2 stamping to come back. But if they want to use even the advance parole, they can do that. Either one, either or. It's not both. But I would carry all the documents. And for an H1, of course, I would also carry your pay stubs, any bank deposits for direct deposits, your I-797 approval. Even if you don't have the original, I would carry at least a copy of that. And if you're coming back on an H1 or an L1, I would also carry a letter from the employer that you still have a valid job with that employer.
Right. How long does it is taking for H4 EAD approvals now?
A good question. I would say in the approximation between 6 to 8 months. Sometimes we've seen delays up to 10 months. Of course, an H4 EAD or any person who are wanting to apply for the extension of the EAD, I recommend that they start doing it at least 120 days prior to the expiration.
And can they continue doing their job if they apply, Magaru, or once
Not
they
under the current rules of the H4 EAD, because as I told you earlier, Kishore Garu, that the case that was settled, Idakuni versus Mayorkas, that case ended, the settlement expired on January 18th, 2025. So there's nothing else in place allowing us to get an automatic extension.
Okay. Is it true that H4 visa renewals are held when H1B principal doesn't have stamped visa, even though they provided H1B principal's I-797?
No, that's not an issue. That's definitely not an issue. They can always get a stamping.
I got my green card 2 months back. Is there any issue to travel to India within less than 6 months?
You can travel, but at the moment, I would advise whether you're a green card holder or you're a non-immigrant, on an H, L, F, any of the categories. If you can avoid traveling, please avoid. Unless you have a family emergency due to health or any reason, that's fine. Travel, but I would not travel if you're not required to travel, because we never know who you get at the airport and what is their mindset and how they want to adjudicate. They have the powers, so they are indiscriminately using it. So I wouldn't advise anyone at the moment to travel.
How much time will it take to get the US citizenship after getting eligibility to apply for the citizenship? Are there or will there be any delays in granting citizenship with the new changes in the immigration process?
Well, right now they have not made any changes to the naturalization process. So if you're married to a US citizen and you got your green card based on that, your waiting period is 3 years. But if you got it through employment or any other means, then your waiting time is 5 years and you can apply for the citizenship. Right now, the rule is still there that you can apply 90 days prior to the completion of the 5 years. But again, I wouldn't take any chance with this administration. I would wait for the entire 5 years and then apply for the citizenship. But please make sure you don't have any criminal record, any criminal violations. Sometimes people don't even realize what they did was a criminal violation. Kishore Garu, I've had so many people come to me like that saying, this happened, and is this even a criminal violation? So sometimes they don't know and they go ahead and apply. And then later on, they find out that because of that, they were denied their citizenship.
Hmm. Can you give some examples, Umagara? Like, is it domestic violence or like what sort of things?
It can be like I've had a guy with a reckless conduct, and then one guy was trying to evade a police officer. He got into an accident, and then instead of stopping and aiding help to the person who he hit, they got into the car and then just drove away. And they were charged with reckless driving and also evading the police officer. And they thought that was just because they just paid maybe $400-500, and they thought it's nothing to be concerned, And somebody even told them that this is not a big deal. You can still apply for your citizenship, and they applied, and they were denied. So, I would not take these chances. I would check with an attorney. Do I qualify? Do I not? I've got these violations, A, B, C, D, and let an attorney determine that you actually qualify for applying for a citizenship. Because, Kishore Garu, there are some categories that even if you've been charged, for example, a DWI, even if you've had a DWI, you can still apply for citizenship because a DWI doesn't require an intent. Whereas if I commit theft, for example, in a Walmart or in a gas station, I've stolen something worth $50, and I've been convicted of that, or I pled guilty to that, I will not be allowed to file for citizenship because I'll be considered as a person with uh, no good moral character. I don't have a good moral character because I intentionally tried to steal. Whereas in a DWI, there is no intention. So it all depends from case to case whether you'll be allowed to file for citizenship or not. So, which is why I highly, highly recommend if you had any kind of violations to consult an attorney to make sure that you qualify to apply for the citizenship.
Sure. What is US Customs Border Protection Global Entry and how to apply for that?
I believe you just have to go online and apply for it. And you will be, your background checks will be done very, very stringently. They'll make sure that you don't have any violations. And if you do, you may not be eligible for a global entry. So there's going to be strict background checks, security checks on that individual.
Okay. Do we need to carry the original documents or photocopies or enough when we are traveling international?
If you have the original and if you feel comfortable, carry them. But if you don't feel comfortable, I would carry at least a good a good copy.
Okay. I have heard that H-1B candidate hasn't traveled to their home country for visa stamping, but his spouse appeared for stamping and visa petition got rejected. Is it really happening?
I have not heard that, Kishore Garu, very often. Maybe one or two cases we have, but generally speaking, we have not heard where if the principal H-1B, his visa stamping has expired and he did not go back to get a stamping because of job reasons or whatever reasons, the individual could not go and get a stamping, that they have rejected or denied the spouse or the children's H4. So that to me is kind of a little bit unusual. But I would recommend, to find out more, if that person can reach out to me, let me see what the issue was. What did they just get a 221G, or were they told, we are totally denying your case?
Is there any update on H-1B stamping within USA?
We haven't gotten that. If you remember, they instilled a pilot program last year to give H-1B stamping to a selected number of people. They wanted to see how it went by so that they can reduce the burden on the US consulates, particularly India, because that's where the maximum number of people were going for the stamping. But we have not heard back from the government this year, and I don't think we will hear anything because I don't think they want to make it easy for people to get their H1. Obviously, they want them to go to the US consulate, or if they're eligible, go through a drop box, and this way they filter more number of people through the process outside the US. Because if you're in the US, even if you don't get the stamping, you basically can continue to live here and work here, right? But if you're outside and they don't give you the stamping, then that individual cannot come into the country, and they feel like that one job is now available to a US citizen to work.
Right. Do Canadian TN need to register or fingerprinted?
No, they don't, because they've completed the biometrics.
I'm in GCEAD status now, and I have approved and valid advance parole document. I have a plan to travel to Saudi Arabia for a business travel for 4 weeks. What are the things I need to take care for a smooth re-entry to US, apart from AP document, passport, I-485 confirmation report?
I'm smiling because I don't know what is a safe mode anymore, Kishore Garu. I think gone are the good days when we could say that anything is good or safe. Things are randomly being done, things are indiscriminately being done. So one cannot say, taking all these papers would allow you to safely return back to the United States. However, I would carry every single document that is relevant to your visa status. For example, if you're on an H1, your I-797, your paychecks, your W-2s, like I said, if somebody is getting direct deposit, bank statements, tax returns, just about everything that you think is necessary. I would carry everything.
Regarding EB5 investment, do we need to make entire 800K investment at one time, or can we invest with the business in a certain period of time?
You can, depending on the project. If the project is kicked off already and they feel like they may have to complete the project within, say, 12 months or 14 months or 16 months, then the regional center may not want to wait that long. But keeping in mind that the regional center doesn't receive the money until the entire payment is made, which is 800,000. And a lot of regional centers charge an admin or an option fee of ranging between 50,000 to 80,000. Once they receive all of the money, that's when the money will be released from the escrow account to the regional center. That's when they can release the documents for the EB5 to the candidate or their attorney. I've even heard one or two projects who I know that they're willing to take even 100 to 200,000 and give the documentation to the individuals, and their option fee is somewhere between 50 to 70,000. So this is something I've heard from one regional center, one or two regional centers, and one happens to be in Houston, and they're willing to do that. And, so it may be a good idea to reach out to me and I can put them in touch with that regional center, and if they want to go forward and if they are, comfortable with them, then I would recommend reaching out to them and investing in the regional center. And keeping in mind, Kishore Garu, for Indians, where EB1, EB2, EB3, EB1 at least is at Feb 2022, whereas EB2 and EB3 are still a very long ways off. And if not everybody who qualifies for EB1A or B, and not everybody qualifies for EB1C in a managerial capacity, then the only option that is left is the EB5. And before again, we lose out on the EB5 project, which is now valid until September 2027, I would highly recommend, if anybody has the means and has the capacity to invest in a EB5 regional center, do it now, do it quickly, so that at least you can get your green card and go past this renewals of the H1s, L1s, whatever category you're in.
What about carrying our used jewelry to India and bring back the same? Do we need to declare before we go?
I don't know. I've heard a lot of stories going into India and also coming back with gold from India. I don't know how much gold India allows. I'm not sure of that, Kishore Garu. It's a good question, and I will find out from the US, from the Indian consulate, how much gold is allowed for people to take to India. But I've also heard horror stories of people who buy gold or even bring back their old gold. They've gone for a wedding, they got it polished and it looks brand new, and they were bringing it back. And somehow the US Customs felt that since they could not prove that they had previously purchased any receipts or anything, they did not believe them and put quite a bit of customs charge on them, up to $2,000, $4,000, and I've seen a lot of people going through that. So those of you going to India at the moment, I don't know how much you can carry or not. I would find out. But the people who are taking gold from here to India for a wedding or for converting the gold to something else from A to B, I would carry the receipts of what you had purchased previously. Or if you have any, at least old pictures of you wearing it, let's say in 2007 or 10 for a wedding in the US or somewhere, if you've had those pictures, I would carry that at least to prove to an extent, that this is not something I've purchased. This is my old gold. I just got it converted to a different model, and I'm just bringing it back. So I would look for receipts if you have any, or at least pictures to prove that this is old gold. This is not something you purchased in India, because women tend to, go crazy when they go shopping and buy a lot of gold. So please be careful, because right now the US Customs is being very, very strict on that as well. They are checking on everybody. And the other thing I also advise people on a general thing, Kishore Garu, is we all, especially people from Andhra, we like to bring pickles, we like to bring, fryams or papads and, sweets and things like that. Please do not carry anything at the moment with these conditions. If you want to bring them, just get them shipped out from India. Please don't carry anything with you in person, in your checked-in luggage or even your hand luggage. I wouldn't bring anything like that.
Yeah. What is the current change of status of B2 to H4 timelines? How much time it is taking?
It is not taking very long. We've seen a lot of either B2 extensions, or I've also done B2 to F1s. F1s, of course, have both premium and non-premium. We've been able to get them approved in about 3 to 4 months. Again, I would say that depending on your paperwork, if you give them all the requisite required paperwork and they are satisfied with your documentation, there shouldn't be a problem.
How long green card EAD renewal is taking and how long it's valid once you file for extension?
Well, the good part of the green card EAD, you get an automatic extension. So, even if they take a longer period of time, I wouldn't worry too much, because you're entitled to the automatic extension.
My wife's priority date is current in EB2 since April. She did not get any update on her application. Should she wait for some more time or can we reach out to USCIS?
Would you repeat the question one more time? I'm sorry.
Yeah, my wife's priority date, Feb 2013, is current in EB2 since April. He did
Okay.
not get any update on her application. Should we
Okay.
wait for some more time?
No, I wouldn't wait. I would definitely reach out to the USCIS stating that your priority date is current. You haven't heard anything. If the visa is available, so they should be able to approve your green card. A lot of times for employment based, they don't even have to do an interview. They can just approve it. Sometimes we are noticing, Kishore Garu, that the applicant had submitted their medicals number of years ago, and the medicals have expired. So they're taking a longer period of time to send them an RFE for asking them to update their medicals. Also, for example, if they feel like they've moved their jobs and they haven't provided a 485J, then they will send an RFE for the 485J as well. So these are some things, you have to be prepared with, but I would not wait. I would definitely reach out to the USCIS.
Considering the introduction of gold cards and the visa-free entry for 26 Asian countries, do you anticipate these factors will lead to a slowdown in the advancement of priority dates for EB2 and EB3 visas?
I don't even know if the gold card is really going to, come into effect. It was only a discussion, and I don't think they will take out the EB5 investment visas for a good reason that I think. Right now, the EB5 is a legislation through Congress, and it is valid, as I said, till September 30th, 2027. So if they have to eliminate it, they have to go through Congress. The second reason I strongly feel that they will not take out EB5 projects or regional centers is Kishore Garu. The EB5 regional centers or EB5 direct investments, whether it's urban, rural, is mainly targeted to create jobs, at least 10 jobs with each investment, be it 800,000 or be it 1,050,000. So the intent of Congress was that not here you give me your money and I'm going to give you your green card. The idea was, okay, with your investment, that regional project or the direct investment has to create employment for at least 10 US workers. So the US economy has always thrived at having this kind of employment creation. They want people to create employment so that, this is a cycle that builds and the economy will grow. Now, if they're talking about the gold card, the way the government has said, President Trump, is that here you give me your 5 million and I'll give you your green card. And then of course you don't even get the money back. It goes to the government and then they give you your green card. But there is no creation of the employment. So I have a feeling if they even implement it, it may be parallel to the EB5, and that would be for the rich of the richest, somebody like the Ambanis or the Prince Charles. I'm just giving that as an example. The rich of the rich, the elite of the elite, where they don't care, they can give the 5 million and forget about it and get a green card. But I would think that still the congressional representatives or the senators would be more inclined to keep EB5 because that creates employment. And that is more, at the moment, could be a little more affordable for a larger group of people. And this is less affordable and it'll be only to the very rich of the richest. So I have a gut feeling that may or may not go through.
I'm working on H1B and my company may not do green card processing. Can I try with a consultancy based on future employment?
Yes, you can, if the consultancy is willing to do your green card, because the green card is not an immediate employment, it is an offer of employment. So they can definitely do your green card, even if you're not working for them. Second, if you qualify for EB2 NIW, you can also apply on your own for the EB2 NIW. If you qualify for an EB1A as an outstanding person in your field, be it, art, science, engineering, IT, financial, whatever you may be eligible, if you are an outstanding person or an outstanding researcher, you can go into EB1A or EB1B. So if your employer is not willing to do, you do have these options. And if this doesn't work, then I would definitely look at EB5.
In H1B, people with stamping approved go to cruise or go to Mexico and come back at these times. And
As I
also, if
said, go
someone
ahead,
have
sorry.
I-797 approved but no stamping.
I wouldn't go if you don't have a stamping for sure, because you have no way of coming back. You don't have a stamping, they're not going to let you in. They are going to be strict. And even those who have a stamping, as I said, I know everybody has made plans to go and, you want to take your family, you want that cruise, that trip that you've been waiting for long. But if you can avoid it at the moment, please avoid it. If you cannot, yes, please go. Because we don't know what the CBP would be doing even at the, port of entry for the cruise. We don't know what kind of people come. And so, I'm not saying you legally don't have the right to come, but how are they going to behave? I don't know.
My parents in B1, B2 visa are planning to stay for 90 days in May. Can they come back in October and can they again stay another 90 days?
No. If they stay 90 days, that's fine and go back, but they cannot come back immediately because they will question them at the airport why they're coming back so quickly. Because for a tourist, they feel like, hey, you're just coming here to visit. You just visited, so why are you coming back again? So I would advise them not to come back for at least 8 to 10 months.
When can we expect EB1 to become current for India?
I wish I could tell if I had a one of those tarot cards to tell the future. I can tell, but I don't have the ability to, and we're all hoping that there should not be a retrogression in EB1 or EB2 or EB3. The reason I'm talking about retrogression for EB1, Kishore Garu, because a lot of people are now opting for, instead of being on H1 and waiting in line for the EB2, EB3, they're preferring to go out of the country for 1 year, work on in a managerial capacity if it's a multinational company, and come back on an L1A and then jump into the EB1C using the priority date of their EB2 or EB3, and then get a green card faster if their employer is cooperating to do that. So what is happening is right now, we see that EB1 is also not moving much. There's very little movement because a lot of people are either jumping into the EB1C category, or a lot of people have been working hard towards proving that they qualify for an EB1A or B by either writing publications or, with citations or even patenting stuff. So then they can qualify for an EB1A or B. So we see a lot of people who are moving away from EB2, EB3 and jumping into the EB1. So which is why I'm saying, I hope and pray that there is no retrogression in the EB1.
Can traffic violation like running red lights can impact H1B visas?
They should not, but I'm not sure. And if you are all familiar that the Texas governor, at least I'm talking Texas, after President Trump had issued all these executive orders to deport anybody who's in the United States illegally. So the governor has given full powers to the local police, sheriff, that if they pull somebody during a traffic violation, and if they ask questions to this individual and the individual turns out that they don't have the documents on them, or they don't have documents at all, they're here illegally, then they can hand them over to ICE. So in the past, even though we've seen these rules there, but they were not strictly enforced, but now we see a lot of cops are following through, and they are handing over these people to ICE, even sometimes for minor violations. So I would say just be very, very careful. Try not to get a ticket. I know you can't plan it, you can't do anything. Sometimes we all are talking, we're not paying attention, and we could be going 5 miles over, 10 miles over. I mean, I do it too. It's not just you. We all do it. And so I would be a little more careful even in driving, and, just keep a watch. Try and avoid any kind of traffic tickets too.
We'll go with one last question. I have an approved I-140 with employer A, and now I am on full time with employer B, where they are not ready to transfer my I-140 now. What is the best suggestion for me here? Should I transfer with other employer?
You can transfer it with another employer, or as I said, if it's not if you want to file your own I-140, if you qualify for an EB2 and IW, you can do that. Or just wait for the priority dates to get closer, and then under AC-21, if it's still there, the AC-21 Act, then you can port it to an new employer, who can then just give you the 485J, and you can get your green card. So it all depends how far are you from getting your green card, and whether you can port your dates completely to a new employer who's willing to do it, rather than the employer who's not willing to do it. So you've got to keep playing this cat on the wall and do the best you can. And if not, if you qualify for an EB1 or EB2, you can also file your own application for the green card.
I'll be traveling to Connecticut with an L2 visa along with my spouse who has an L1 visa. Should I apply for a separate?
Would you repeat the question?
I'll be traveling to Connecticut with an L2 visa next month along with my spouse who has an L1 visa. Should I apply for a separate EAD to work there, or is having the L2S class admission code on my I-94 document sufficient proof for employment authorization?
That's sufficient. L2s, as per the regulation, you get an automatic EAD. You don't need to apply for a 765 and get an EAD. So you don't need to do that. But if you want to be on the safe side, just to get this thing, you can always go ahead and apply.
Yeah, I think we are out of time, 9:03 now. So thanks again, Umagaru, for taking time to answer all the questions.
My pleasure, Kishore Garu. If it was, I think everybody should appreciate Kishore Garu for taking the time out to do this as a community program. He brings it month after month, not just with me, but with many other attorneys or financial panelists. So I think in all good faith, we need to appreciate Kishore Garu. Please, everyone should thank him for doing these webinars day after day, night after night. I know he's got a million things to do, and yet he's doing this for the community for no returns unconditionally. So, Kishore Garu, a big thanks to you for taking the time out to do this.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah.
And if there is any emergency situations where we see anything that can be alarming for the community, I'll reach out to Kishore Garu, and I'm sure he will not say no, that we can come and do a quick 30, 40 minutes webinar just to update people for, what is happening. So I'll be glad to, collaborate with Kishore Garu and do that. But thank you, Kishore Garu, once again.
Sure. No problem. Yeah, thanks again, Andy. And we have these sessions every month or every 3 weeks once, where Umagaru will share like what is happening in the immigration domain, what are the new updates, new changes. And if you have any questions, then you can post your questions and we can go through all the Q&A. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if there's anything, people can reach out to me directly. I'm all over the place on social media, everywhere. So please contact.
Sure. Yeah.
Thanks, Andy. Good night.
Yeah. Good night. Good night, everyone. Thank you.